Today, I'm going to try to draw this square in Tbilisi, Georgia, and this will be hard. I did not anticipate how complicated this would be for me, but we'll get into that in a second. First, if you're new here, I'm traveling the world and learning to draw, and slowly but surely, I'm seeing some progress. I have always wanted to be specifically good at drawing what I see, like drawing what's right out in front of me rather than from a photo or something, and this little project or series or whatever you call it is me trying to make that happen. So subscribe, do it. You won't regret it, and neither will I, honestly. Cool. So today's reference, if you spend some time staring at it, really observing what's going on here, you'll see that it's awkward on a few different levels. First of all, I know there's a tree in the middle. Said tree blocks a lot of the view. Great, wonderful, I'm aware of it. But that tree was kind of a major factor for me. I thought it was beautiful, and it is, but I didn't consider just how much of a pain in the neck it would become. I'll get back to the tree in a minute. Second, the perspective is stupid. I don't like it. I'm pointing the camera up slightly, which makes all the vertical lines point inward, which is fine, I guess, but pair that with the street in the background that goes off at an angle, which is a different angle to that of the buildings on the left side, and you have a recipe for confusion. Also, it's uphill, so that's nice as well. Third, there's just a lot of people walking around, and I really wanted to include them, but you'll see how that goes. So, it sounds like I'm having just the worst time, but actually, not really. This did prove to be difficult for me, but I don't know. I still enjoyed some of the process. Not all of it, but some of it. This one was much more of a puzzle than some of the more recent examples, and that part of it was exciting to try to figure out. I started off with very light lines, which we don't see very often in my drawings anymore, thankfully. And I could sit here and make excuses if I wanted to, but honestly, I just wish I approached this completely differently. I attempted to place some anchors down, like the side of this main building and the trash bin for some reason, but I was also constantly conscious of where I wanted to keep the tree. That meant I was consistently reevaluating the position of everything else in relation to it, which was silly. You might notice that I'll draw a line for part of a wall or something, only to shift it and replace it with a new line. I should have just drawn the tree right at the beginning and let it become the uncontested anchor. I did ultimately just go for it and draw it in, but I wasted a few minutes beforehand, and that threw me off considerably. Had I approached this the exact same way that I approached the cypress trees from the other day, where the silhouettes of the trees went down first, I think this whole thing would have come together much better. Speaking of the cypress trees, this is actually a lot different, so I wonder if what I just said is even true. With those, I was drawing three pretty rigid shapes where nothing behind could show through. With this, quite a lot shows through. I was aware of that beforehand, but because I didn't plan out my order of operations, I was particularly cautious and also erratic. I bounced all over the place in this drawing, back and forth, and that's why. I just didn't know how to manage the empty areas of the tree where it would reveal pieces of the building. Another issue with the tree in the way, which I did not have to deal with the other day, is, and yes, I'm still complaining about the tree, is that I can't even really see what's through it. Like sitting here to draw, I can't make out all of the things that might be, I don't know, somehow integral to the perspective or something. That's probably definitely not true, but it did make this 1 degree more difficult, and I resent it. I should have taken an extra second to consider the scene, because although it does seem like the building behind the tree materializes okay, I didn't really feel that way in the moment. Okay, one kind of big thing I wanted to touch on is my reference selection, specifically regarding the number of components that demand different methods or techniques within one scene. So I have spoken ad nauseum about single subject references and how I should probably choose more of them more often, but also give me a break. I drew that plant yesterday, didn't I? But yeah, that is true. I really should. But also, And maybe more significantly, I should be cautious of scenes that require a crazy fracturing of my attention and redirecting of my amateur abilities. So what do I mean by this? Well, in this drawing, there's the tree, as you well know by now. There's the main building with its ornate detail. There's the road, the other buildings, the people. You get the idea. If it were just one or two, maybe three things, I think that's fine and actually gives me an opportunity to kind of rest one thing on the other. Meaning, if my, say, architectural stuff is lacking, maybe I can hoist it up a bit with the foliage. However, when there's all of this variety, I never feel like I'm able to sit with any one thing. Maybe I talked about this recently. If so, sorry. But unless I planned on sitting here for another hour, I just feel this alarm going off in my head that's reminding me not to forget about the wonky perspective or the doorway or the bench or the people and so on. So this is me telling you, which also means telling me that while big complex scenes might be pretty, I also need to evaluate it as though I'm going to sit on this tiny stool and try to draw it. Because, that's what happens, in case you missed it. And real quick, on the people, whatever, man. I didn't put a lot of effort into them, maybe because of all that stuff I just said, or maybe because I still don't really understand them. I did watch a YouTube video about a simple way to visualize them and to draw them, but it didn't stick, I guess. No, I did actually practice it, and I did recall some of the tips, but in the moment, that was somewhere way, way back in my brain, inaccessible at the time. So I'll practice it a bit more, and hopefully I'll be able to bring them into the drawing better next time. Spectacular, we're done. My tone and the words that I've used may have suggested that I hated everything about this drawing, but that's not the case. I think there's a lot here that I dislike, that I would do differently if I gave it another go. But on the whole, I'm proud of myself for not digging my pen into the paper and scratching it all out. Today's process ended up being worse than the outcome, I think. And I don't know what that says. But actually, the longer I look at this, the less I wish I would. It's the tree, mostly. The tree is weirdly rendered, whereas the rest of the scene is pretty basic and unfinished. Also, I very much loathe the half-assed shading on the right side of the building. Cool. Yeah, you were right. I don't like this one. Anyway, let me know what you think about it. If you love it, fantastic. Tell me about it in the comments. Also, like the video while you're at it and subscribe to the channel before I call the police. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.